The Great Hall of Station 9 was filled with creatures from 100 different worlds. Some had scales, some had feathers, some were made of living crystal, others looked like clouds of colored gas floating in special containers. They had all come here for the same reason. The Galactic Trade Assembly met once every cycle to discuss the laws that govern the stars. Ambassador stood at the center of the hall. He was tall, almost 3 meters high, and his body was made of beautiful purple crystal. When he moved, light danced across his surface like fire, was powerful. His species, they controlled 30 star systems. They had never lost a war. They had never backed down from any challenge. Today wanted to change an old law, a very old law. "I call for a vote," announced. His voice rang through the chamber like a bell. "I want to end Edict 7 Omega. The ban on humans must be lifted." The hall went quiet. Delegates looked at each other with worry in their eyes. The ban had existed for 300 cycles. It was older than most species in the room could remember. It said one simple thing: stay away from the third planet of the Sol system. Do not contact its inhabitants. Do not trade with them. Do not let them know that other intelligent life exists in the galaxy. No one talked about why. The reason had been lost to time, or so most believed. An old creature named slowly rose from his seat. Was a species known for living very long lives. His skin was gray and wrinkled like old leather. His eyes were cloudy with age, but those eyes held knowledge that others had forgotten. "Ambassador," said in a weak voice, "you do not understand what you are asking for." Made a sound like breaking glass. It was laughter. "What I understand, Elder, is that we are hiding from primitives. The humans have not even discovered faster-than-light travel. They are stuck in their little solar system, playing with their little rockets. They fight each other with chemical explosives and metal bullets." He turned to face the assembly. "They live for less than 100 of their years. They are soft. They are weak. They are nothing." Several delegates laughed along with. A young ambassador from the Federation stood up. "I agree with the. My grandfather told me stories about the ban when I was young. He said it was created because of fear. But fear of what? A species that cannot even leave their own star. This is embarrassing." More voices joined in. The younger delegates especially seemed to think the ban was foolish. They had grown up in peace. They had never seen war. They thought the universe was safe and that their technology made them gods. Listened to all of this without speaking. When the noise died down, he slowly shook his head. "I was there," said quietly. "When the ban was created, I was there. I was young then. I had just joined the council as a junior observer. I saw the evidence with my own eyes. I heard the screams in the recordings. I watched senior council members, beings who had conquered worlds, weep like children." The hall fell silent again. "You think humans are weak because they are small," continued. "You think they are primitive because their technology is simple. You think they are no threat because they die easily." He paused and looked directly at. "You are wrong about all of it." His crystal body flickered with annoyance. "Then show us, Old One. Show us why we should fear these soft little creatures. Show us why the mighty Galactic Council hides from beings who still burn dead plants for energy." Was quiet for a long moment, then he nodded slowly. "Very well. The records have been sealed for 300 cycles. Only the senior council members have access to them. But if you truly wish to understand, I will show you everything." He gestured to the central platform where a holographic projector sat dormant. "What you are about to see is classified at the highest level. It is the reason my generation chose to hide. It is the reason we wrote the ban into our most sacred laws." The lights in the great hall began to dim. The delegates shifted in their seats. Some looked curious. Some looked bored. A few of the older ones, the ones who had heard whispers and rumors, looked afraid. Stood tall and confident. He did not believe anything could make him fear such primitive creatures. They had conquered species far more advanced than humans. They had destroyed fleets. They had burned worlds. What could one little planet of soft, short-lived mammals possibly do? The holographic projector hummed to life. Blue light filled the center of the chamber. This first recording, said, comes from the Empire. You younger delegates may not remember them. They were a proud species, warriors, conquerors. They ruled 14 star systems at the height of their power. He paused. They were the first to find Earth. They were the first to try to conquer humanity. Try asked, I have never heard of this empire. Looked at him with those ancient, cloudy eyes. No, you would not have. There are no left, none at all. Their entire species is gone. Their worlds are empty. Their cities are dust. The chamber was completely silent now. This recording was found in the wreckage of their final ship, said. It is the last message from their commander, the last words of a species that thought they could not be defeated. The hologram flickered. An image appeared. A reptilian creature in military armor, scales covered in medals and honors, stood on the bridge of a great warship. Behind him, alarms were flashing. Smoke filled the air, and in his eyes there was something that none of the delegates had ever seen in a conqueror's face before. Pure terror. The recording began to play. And in the great hall of Station 9, surrounded by the representatives of 100 mighty civilizations, not a single being made a sound. They watched, and slowly, one by one, they began to understand why the ban existed, why it had to exist, and why, perhaps, it should never be lifted. The hologram showed a date in the old calendar, 300 cycles ago, long before most delegates in the chamber were born. Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Devourer of Worlds. He was a magnificent creature, 2.5 meters of muscle and scales. His teeth were like knives. His claws could cut through metal. Behind him, a fleet of 50 warships hung in the darkness of space. They had come to a small blue planet called Earth. This will be easy, Commander said to his officers. His voice was full of confidence. We have detected their radio signals. They are using primitive electromagnetic communication. They fight each other with chemical weapons. They have no shields, no energy weapons, no faster-than-light capability. He laughed, a harsh sound like rocks grinding together. We will land. We will demonstrate our power. They will kneel before us, and we will take what we want. The delegates in the assembly watched as the fleet descended through Earth's atmosphere. They came down over a large human city. Later records would identify it as a place where millions of humans lived. They broadcast their demands in every human language. They had decoded Earth's transmissions easily. Surrender, the message said. You are now subjects of the Empire. Resist, and you will be destroyed. The humans did not surrender. Commander sent his ground forces into the city. 5,000 warriors, each one stronger and taller than any human. They wore armor that could stop bullets. They carried plasma rifles that could turn stone into glass. They expected the humans to run away in fear. The footage showed what really happened. The first wave of soldiers marched into the city streets. They found them empty. No humans anywhere. The soldiers reported that the civilians had fled. Commander ordered them to advance and secure the area. Then the attacks began. Humans came out of buildings, out of sewers, out of shadows. They were small. They were soft. Their weapons were primitive, and they were absolutely fearless. An officer screamed into his communicator. They are not running. They are attacking us. They know they cannot win, and they are attacking anyway. The delegates watched in growing horror as the first day unfolded. The humans died by the hundreds. Their bullets bounced off armor. Their explosives barely scratched the alien warriors, but they kept coming, wave after wave, not in panic, not in chaos. They came in organized groups. They tested different weapons. They tried different tactics. And when something worked, even a little bit, they all started using it within hours. They are learning, a scientist reported to Commander on day 2. They are sharing information somehow, faster than should be possible. One group discovers that our armor is weaker at the joints, and within hours, every human fighter knows this. By day 3, the humans had figured out the frequency of the energy shields. They built crude devices that could disrupt them. The devices were ugly. They were simple. They were made from parts taken from human technology, but they worked. On day 4, a group of humans captured a soldier alive. The recording showed what happened next, and several delegates in the assembly had to look away. The humans did not torture the soldier for pleasure. There was no cruelty in their eyes. They studied him with cold, scientific interest. They wanted to understand his biology, his weaknesses, his technology. The soldier was returned the next day. He was physically unharmed, but he could not stop shaking. "They asked me questions," he told Commander. "So many questions about our ships, our weapons, our home world. They wrote everything down. They have so many questions." Day 5. The humans captured a shuttle. The footage showed them taking it apart piece by piece while the engine was still running. They did not understand the technology, but they were figuring it out. Scientists worked in shifts, never stopping, never sleeping. "How is this possible?" Commander demanded. "They have no knowledge of energy manipulation. They should not be able to do this." His chief scientist had no answer. "They learn too fast, Commander. It defies everything we know about primitive species. When we conquered it took them 200 cycles to understand our basic technology. The humans are doing it in days." Day 6. The humans were no longer just defending. They were attacking. They had figured out how to use captured weapons. They had built copies of the shield disruptors. They had created something terrible, bombs that specifically targeted biology. Hundreds of soldiers died in a single night. Commander ordered a retreat to the ships. But the humans followed. They had captured enough technology now. They had learned enough. Small groups of humans infiltrated the landing zones. They sabotaged ships. They killed soldiers in their sleep. They were everywhere and nowhere. On day 7, the flagship received a transmission from the surface. It was a human, a female with blood on her face and fire in her eyes. She spoke in broken language that she had learned in less than a week. "You came to our home," she said. "You tried to take our people. You killed our families." She smiled, and it was the most terrifying thing Commander had ever seen. "Now we are coming for you." The final recording was from Commander himself. He stood on his bridge, but it was damaged. Fires burned behind him. Alarms screamed. Human boarding parties had somehow reached the flagship. No one knew how. They had not even known humans could survive in space. "They do not stop," Commander whispered into the recorder. His scales were pale, his eyes were wide with fear. "We have killed 10,000 of them, 20,000. They do not care. Every death makes them angrier. Every battle teaches them more. They are not fighting to survive anymore. They are fighting to win. And I think," his voice broke, "I think they are going to win." He looked directly into the recorder. "If anyone receives this message, do not come here. Do not try to avenge us. Do not contact this planet, these creatures. They are not like us. They do not think like us. They do not give up. They do not accept defeat. They learn and adapt and grow stronger with every loss." An explosion shook the ship. Human voices could be heard in the corridor outside. "They are not primitive," Commander said, his voice barely a whisper now. "We made a terrible mistake. They are something else entirely, something worse, something." The door burst open. The recording ended. In the assembly hall, no one spoke. No one moved. The fleet of 50 warships had come to Earth, expecting easy victory. Not a single ship returned. And the humans had kept all of them. Learning. Always learning. The assembly hall remained silent after the footage ended. Ambassador stood frozen, his purple crystal body no longer shimmering with confidence. The other delegates stared at the empty hologram projector like it was a weapon pointed at their hearts. Elder let the silence stretch. He wanted them to feel the weight of what they had seen. When he finally spoke, His voice was soft but carried through the entire chamber. After they disappeared, the council was afraid. We did not know if the humans would come looking for more of us. We did not know if they understood that other species existed among the stars, so we watched them, in secret. For 300 cycles we have watched them. He gestured to the projector, and new images appeared. These were not battle recordings. They were observations, studies, scientific reports compiled by researchers who had spent their entire lives studying humanity from hidden satellites and cloaked ships. We wanted to understand them, said. We wanted to know if the incident was unusual. Perhaps those particular humans had been special. Perhaps most of them were peaceful and weak like we originally believed. The first images showed Earth from space. A beautiful blue planet covered in clouds and oceans. It looked peaceful, harmless. Then the images changed to show human history. The narrator spoke in a clinical, scientific voice. In the 300 cycles since the incident, humans have fought 2 world-spanning wars among themselves. The first one killed approximately 20 million of their own kind. The second killed approximately 70 million. Gasps echoed through the assembly. A delegate from the collective raised a trembling appendage. They killed 70 million of their own people, and their species survived. Their species grew, replied. At the time of the Second War, Earth had approximately 2 billion humans. Now there are over 8 billion. They fight, they die, they breed, they grow stronger, always stronger. The footage showed human weapons, primitive at first, metal tubes that threw smaller bits of metal, but the weapons evolved quickly. Within 2 centuries, humans had created bombs that could destroy entire cities in a single flash of light. They call these nuclear weapons, the narrator explained. They are based on splitting atoms. A single one of these devices can kill hundreds of thousands instantly. They have built thousands of them. A delegate from the crystalline accord made a sound of disbelief. If they have these weapons, why have they not destroyed themselves? Any rational species would have used them by now. That is the most disturbing part, said. They have not used them in war since they first created them. They build these weapons that could end their species. Then they create treaties promising not to use them. Then they build more weapons. They are not rational. They are something else. The footage shifted to show humans in different environments. A team climbing a frozen mountain, their bodies wrapped in primitive insulation. Workers building structures in a desert where temperatures could kill most species in minutes. Scientists living at the bottom of their ocean, where the pressure would crush bones. Humans can survive almost anywhere on their planet, the narrator continued. Extreme cold, extreme heat, high altitudes where oxygen is thin, underwater caves, radioactive zones. They adapt. They build tools. They refuse to accept that any environment is too harsh for them. But the most disturbing footage came next. It showed humans interacting with other Earth species, not hunting them, not eating them, something stranger. A human female sat on a soft platform with a small furry creature in her lap. She was stroking its fur and making soft sounds. The creature made sounds back. They were communicating somehow, bonding. Humans form attachments to other species, the narrator said, and there was confusion in his voice. These creatures serve no purpose. They do not work. They do not provide food. They are simply companions. The humans call them pets. More footage. A human male throwing a ball for a 4-legged creature. A human child sleeping next to a small furry animal. An old human woman talking to a bird in a cage as if it could understand her. We do not understand this behavior, the narrator admitted. No other species we have studied forms such bonds with creatures outside their own kind. It serves no evolutionary purpose. It makes no logical sense. Then the footage showed what happened when these bonds were threatened. A recording from a human dwelling. 3 armed intruders broke in. They wanted to steal objects of value. A human female was home alone with her companion animal, a medium-sized furry creature. The intruders pointed weapons at her. They told her to stay quiet and they would not hurt her. Then one of them kicked her companion animal. The delegates watched in stunned silence as the small human female attacked three armed intruders. She did not run. She did not call for help. She threw herself at them with complete disregard for her own safety. By the time security forces arrived, two intruders were dead and the third was badly injured. The human female had broken bones. She had lost a lot of blood, but she was holding her companion animal and crying. She almost died for a creature that is not even her own species, a delegate whispered. They call this love, said quietly. We have no translation for the word. We have no comparison for the concept. It is an irrational emotional bond that makes them unpredictable and extremely dangerous. The narrator spoke again. We have observed humans sacrifice their lives for their offspring. This is normal for many species. But humans will also sacrifice their lives for their mates, their friends, their communities, their nations, and even complete strangers. They have a concept called heroism. It means dying to save others. They celebrate individuals who do this. They build monuments to them. They tell stories about them for generations. The footage showed human monuments, statues of individuals who had died protecting others, walls covered with names of those who had fallen in war. Ceremonies where living humans honored the dead. They remember, said. They never forget. They killed their people 300 cycles ago. I promise you, somewhere on Earth there are humans who still remember, who have passed the story down through generations, who are still angry. Finally spoke. His voice was quieter than before. This is disturbing, yes, but these are still observations of primitives on their own world. They cannot threaten us here. They cannot reach us. Looked at him with those ancient, clouded eyes. The council thought the same thing, so they authorized one more test, a direct experiment. They wanted to see what would happen if a single human was removed from Earth and placed in a controlled environment. He paused. It was the worst mistake we ever made. The projector hummed. New footage began to load. And in the assembly hall, the delegates leaned forward, already dreading what they were about to see. The new footage began with a date stamp, 270 cycles ago. The location was listed as a research facility on the edge of council space. Maximum security. 26 different species had contributed their greatest scientists to this project. The purpose was simple: study a human in a controlled environment. Learn everything about them. Understand what made them so dangerous. Her name was Dr. Vance, narrated. She was taken from a research station in the asteroid belt of the Sol system. She was a scientist herself, studied the rocks and ice at the edge of human space. She was alone when we took her. The footage showed the abduction. Quick, clean, professional. A council stealth ship appeared next to her small station. Soldiers in advanced armor breached the hull. Dr. Vance did not even have time to send a distress signal before she was sedated and transported away. When she woke up, she was in a comfortable cell. It had a soft bed, a clean bathroom, a window that showed a simulated Earth sky. The council wanted her cooperative. They believed that treating her well would make her easier to study. The first 3 days were calm. Dr. Vance was curious, not frightened. She asked her captors questions constantly. What species were they? Where did they come from? How did their technology work? How many other intelligent species existed in the galaxy? The scientists observing her were pleased. She was exactly what they had hoped for: intelligent, cooperative, eager to learn. They began to think that maybe the stories about humans were exaggerated. Maybe this one was harmless. On day 4, the lead researcher visited her cell. Dr. Vance, he said through a translator device, you have been very helpful. We appreciate your cooperation. However, I must inform you of something. Due to security concerns, you will not be returned to Earth. You will remain here for the rest of your natural life. Dr. Vance was silent for a long moment. "I have a brother on Earth," she said quietly. "He thinks I am dead. My research team thinks I am dead. Everyone I have ever known thinks I am dead." "I am sorry," the researcher said. He was not sorry at all. "But the Council has decided. This is for the greater good of galactic civilization." Dr. Vance looked at him. Her eyes were different now. Something had changed behind them, something cold. "I understand," she said. The researcher left, satisfied that she had accepted her fate. He was very, very wrong. The footage showed the next 27 days in detail. The delegates watched with growing horror as Dr. Vance, a scientist with no military training, systematically dismantled the most secure research facility in Council space. She started small. She collected things: a piece of wire from her mattress, chemicals from the cleaning solutions used in her cell, metal filings scraped from the door hinges with her fingernails, small amounts of biological material from her own body. The scientists watched her do this. They noted it in their reports. They thought she was just bored, just keeping herself busy. They did not understand. On day 15, Dr. Vance asked for paper and writing instruments. She said she wanted to continue her research, to write about her observations of alien species. The scientists gave her what she wanted. They were curious to see what she would write. She filled pages with equations, with diagrams, with notes in a language the translators could not fully decode. The scientists studied her work. They could not understand most of it. They assumed it was primitive human mathematics. It was not. She was mapping the power systems of the facility. She had been listening to the hum of the lights, feeling the vibrations in the walls, watching the patterns of her guards. She was learning everything about her prison. On day 23, the facility lost power. It happened instantly. Every system failed at once. Lights, doors, communication, security fields, everything. In the darkness, Dr. Vance walked out of her cell. The footage from this point was fragmentary. Emergency recordings, audio logs, scattered images captured by backup systems that came online briefly before being disabled again. The sounds were the worst part. Screams in a dozen alien languages, the crash of doors being forced open, running footsteps, and through it all a human voice, calm, methodical, almost gentle. "I told you I needed to go home," Dr. Vance said in one recording. She was speaking to a guard she had cornered. "I asked nicely. I cooperated. I answered your questions. All I wanted was to go home." There was a sound. The guard stopped screaming. "You should have listened." Day 26. Dr. Vance reached the facility's communication center. She broadcast a message to the council. "My name is Dr. Vance. I'm a citizen of Earth. Your council kidnapped me from my home. Your scientists studied me like an animal. Your leaders decided I would never see my family again." Her voice was steady, cold. "I want you to know something. I am not a soldier. I am not a warrior. I am a scientist. I study rocks. I am the least dangerous human you could have taken." She paused. "Imagine what our soldiers would do." Day 31. Dr. Vance stole a council shuttle. She also took something else. The facility's database contained detailed plans for faster-than-light travel technology. All of it. Her final transmission, before disappearing into the void, was brief. "I am going home now. Do not follow me. Do not contact Earth again. Do not take any more of us. If you do, I will not be the one who comes for you. I will tell my people what you did to me. I will tell them everything. And then you will learn what happens when you make humanity angry." The transmission ended. The assembly hall was silent. Let the silence stretch before speaking again. "We searched for her for 50 cycles. We never found her. We never found the shuttle. But we know she reached Earth. We detected her signal entering the Sol system. She made it home." A delegate spoke up. "The technology, the faster-than-light plans, did she?" "She took everything," confirmed. Complete schematics for FTL engines, navigation data, fuel synthesis processes, everything a species would need to travel between stars. But that was 270 cycles ago, another delegate said. If they had that technology, they would have come for us by now. They would have attacked. Where are they? Was quiet for a long moment. That is the question that keeps me awake at night, he said softly. They have had the technology for almost 300 cycles. They have not come. They have not attacked. They have not made themselves known. He looked around the assembly. They are out there, somewhere, building, growing, learning. His old eyes were haunted, and they are waiting. For what, I do not know, but when humanity finally decides to reveal itself to the galaxy. He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Everyone in the room understood. The humans were coming, and no one knew when, or why, or what they would do when they arrived. The assembly hall had changed. When the session began, it had been filled with confident voices and casual laughter. Delegates had talked about trade routes and territorial disputes. They had complained about minor inconveniences. They had lived in a universe that felt safe and predictable. Now they sat in silence. The air itself felt heavier. The lights seemed dimmer. Every delegate stared at the empty holographic projector as if it might suddenly show them more horrors. Ambassador stood at the center of the chamber. His purple crystal body, which had sparkled with arrogance just hours ago, now seemed dull and lifeless. He had not spoken since Dr. Vance's final transmission played. A delegate from the Federation raised a trembling appendage. She was one of the young ones who had laughed at the ban earlier. She was not laughing now. Why did they not destroy us? She asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. They had reason. They invaded their world. We kidnapped their scientists. They have our technology now. Why did they show mercy? Nodded slowly. This was the question he had been waiting for. That, he said, is the most terrifying question of all, and I do not have an answer, but we intercepted a transmission 50 cycles ago. I think it explains their thinking better than I ever could. He activated the projector one final time. The hologram showed static at first, then a signal, a human signal broadcast from a small ship at the edge of Council-monitored space. The ship had appeared briefly, transmitted its message, and then vanished into the darkness before anyone could track it. A human voice spoke. It was calm and clear, neither threatening nor friendly, just matter of fact. We know you are watching. We have known for a long time. You think your cloaked ships are invisible. You think your observation satellites are undetectable. We found them 200 cycles ago. We have been letting you watch because it was useful. You studied us. We studied you. The delegates shifted uncomfortably. Some looked up at the ceiling as if expecting to see human observers hiding there. You are probably wondering why we have not attacked you, after what after what you did to, after 300 years of being treated like animals in a zoo. The voice paused. The answer is simple. We chose not to. We could have come for you. After returned and told us what happened, there were many who wanted revenge. They wanted to find your council. They wanted to burn your stations and break your fleets. They wanted to make you pay. The voice was quiet for a moment. We decided not to let them because we are better than that. We are not conquerors. We are not slavers. That is not who we want to be. You came to our world with chains. Your council came to our scientists with cages. You assumed we would do the same to you because that is what you would do, but we are not you. A delegate made a sound. It might have been relief. It might have been shame. It was hard to tell. Here is humanity's offer, the voice continued. Leave us alone and we will leave you alone. Respect us and we might even be friends someday. We are curious about you. We want to learn about your cultures, your histories, your sciences. We want to explore the universe alongside other intelligent beings. We want to trade and talk and grow together. The tone changed slightly, became harder. But understand this. We remember. We remember every species that came to our world with weapons. We remember every council that debated whether to exterminate us. We remember every scientist who studied our people like insects, and we protect our own, always, forever. The voice grew cold now, not angry, just utterly certain. If you ever threaten our home again, if you ever take another one of our people, if you ever try to hurt what we love, then we will stop being merciful. Then we will stop holding back. Then you will learn what we are truly capable of. A soft laugh. You have seen the footage. You know what we can do when we are scared. Imagine what we could do when we are angry. The transmission ended. The assembly sat in complete silence for a long time. Finally spoke. The motion before this body is to lift Edict 7 Omega, to end the ban on humans, to open contact with Earth and invite humanity into galactic civilization. He looked around the chamber. How do you vote? One by one, every delegate voted to maintain the ban. Voted first. His crystal voice was quiet and humble. I withdraw my motion. The ban must stay. The young delegate voted next. Maintain the ban. I was foolish. I understand now. Every single species, every single delegate, not one voice of dissent. The ban would stay in place. The assembly began to clear. Delegates filed out quietly, each lost in their own thoughts. They did not chat or gossip as they usually did. They did not discuss trade routes or territorial claims. They simply left, wanting to be alone with their fears. Remained behind. He sat in the empty hall, staring at the holographic projector. The lights dimmed around him. The cleaning machines hummed in the distance. He was alone with 300 cycles of memories and nightmares. There was one detail he had not shared with the assembly. One piece of information that only the senior council members knew. It was too terrifying to reveal. It would cause panic across the galaxy. The transmission from 50 cycles ago. The one warning them to stay away from Earth. It had not been sent from the edge of council space. It had been sent from inside the system. Inside the very star system where Station 9 orbited. Just 3 light minutes from where the assembly had been held. The humans had already arrived. They were here. Watching. Listening. Learning. Looked up at the ceiling. He wondered if they were watching him right now. He wondered if they had been in the assembly hall during the vote. He wondered if a human had stood among the delegates, disguised somehow, observing the aliens who had once observed them. He would never know. That was the worst part, the uncertainty, the endless questioning. He spoke into the empty room. His voice was tired and old. If you are listening, he said, I want you to know something. I voted for the ban 300 cycles ago, not because I hated your species, not because I thought you were monsters. I voted for it because I was afraid, and because I understood something that the younger generations have forgotten. He paused. You are not the enemy. You never were. You were just trying to survive, to protect your home, to keep your people safe. I understand that now. I understood it then. Silence. I hope you do become friends with us someday. I hope you do explore the universe with us. I hope your curiosity leads you to wonders we cannot imagine. But I also hope you understand why we are afraid. We saw what you can do. We saw your determination, your adaptability, your refusal to give up. We saw you turn defeat into victory again and again and again. He smiled sadly. You are the most terrifying species we have ever encountered, and the most admirable. I think that is why we fear you so much, not because you are cruel, but because you are better than us. You showed mercy when we would have shown none. You offered friendship when we offered only cages. He stood slowly. His old bones ached. I will not live long enough to see what happens next, but whoever is listening, I hope you remember that not all of us were your enemies. Some of us were simply afraid, and some of us were in awe. He walked toward the exit. Behind him, in the shadows of the empty hall, something moved, just slightly, just enough to suggest that he had been right, that someone had been listening all along. Did not look back, he did not need to. He knew the truth. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Far away in the darkness between stars, a human ship hung silent and hidden. Its crew monitored the assembly hall's recordings. They watched the vote. They listened to the old's words. And in the commander's chair, a woman smiled. She was very old now. Her hair was white. Her face was lined with age, but her eyes still held the same cold fire they had held 270 cycles ago in a cell on a distant station. Not all of them were enemies, Dr. Vance said quietly. The old one understands. She looked at the stars on her display. So many worlds, so many species, so much to learn. Keep watching, she ordered her crew. Keep learning, the time is coming. Soon we will introduce ourselves properly. She leaned back in her chair. And then the galaxy will see what humanity can really do, not our wrath, not our vengeance. Her smile softened. Our friendship, our curiosity, our love. She closed her eyes. That is what will truly terrify them. And in the vast darkness of space, humanity waited. Patient, powerful, ready.